Please be seated. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock and this family Christmas Eve service. I'm the Reverend Jay Brooks, part of the ministry team here, along with the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore and the Reverend Jennifer Brower. With the arrival of winter's dark, low sky, religious communities in the Northern Hemisphere look to the miracle of light as a source of hope. People of faith gather to reaffirm their connections to one another.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we honor one another's cherished religious practices and celebrate the many ways we human beings bring light to the world. The communal act of making a light in the dark sustains and uplifts the human spirit.
Tonight, the story of one baby's birth symbolizes the advent of new hope, new possibilities for the world, the possibility in each of us to bring light to the world. For many among us, the music and story of this day are compelling at a level beyond the intellect, evoking from deep within the human spirit the longing for hope and joy.
Like those shepherds who were on the hillsides with their flocks, like those wise ones in their observatories with their telescopes and astronomical charts, we find our daily work interrupted by these holidays. Like them, we can't keep on working. We have to listen to the singing of angels. We have to deal with the call of that special star. The little town of Bethlehem is thronged with people who have come to be taxed, crowding streets and shops, and we have to find our way to an unknown place where a wonderful new beginning awaits. What precious new beginnings are we seeking this night? For what do you push through crowds? What have the angels told you? What is the call of the star? O Spirit of Advent and Christmas past, prepare us an expectant heart.
Now let us rise in body or spirit as we sing Carol number 237, the first Noel. We'll sing verses 1 and 2.
Thank you.
In the Jewish tradition, from the book of Isaiah, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Prince of Peace."
In the Christian tradition, from the book of Luke, the angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy that shall be to all people. Today there is born to you a Savior, and peace on earth, goodwill to all."
In the Islamic tradition, the Quran's Book of Miriam, "I am a messenger from Allah to announce to you the gift of a righteous son. He is appointed as a sign unto humanity and a mercy from Allah."
In the tradition of the Maasai people of Africa, "Hail the day on which this child was born. Rejoice. Let us all sing and praise her that gave birth to a child for whom she longed. Greet this day with joy. Our hearts are glad."
In the Unitarian tradition, the words of Sophia Lyon-Faz, "Each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers and mothers sitting beside their children's cribs feel glory in the sight of a new life beginning. Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for celebration."
Please be seated.
Since the dawn of time, people have celebrated the longest night of the year with light and fire and thanksgiving. For they have learned that the darkest and longest night marks the turning of the year, the time when the sun, giver of warmth and light, turns back from death and grows strong again. The turning of the year is a promise of renewing life. Now the sun will climb the heavens again, and the darkness will be pushed back each day. We shall walk again upon the greening earth. The shoot will burst forth from the seed, and the young will be brought forth from the womb. In the midst of winter, the promise is given of the summer season. In the midst of darkness comes the assurance of the light. I invite you to join with me in a responsive reading for the lighting of the candle of faith. In this time when the days grow short and the night is long, when there is darkness and cold, may our hearts discover the light of faith.
We have faced our own time of darkness. We have been discouraged and lonely. We have been afraid. May the faith of Christmas inspire us to trust that in our darkness we will always find light, so that with courage we turn again to light.
We invite you to stand as you're comfortable and join in our singing of the carol, O Little Town of Bethlehem, verses 1 and 3. Oh, it says, while seated.
Centuries ago, when communities of very different people began to tell stories of the birth of Jesus, each story was just a little different. There's the familiar story in the Gospel according to Luke, which we'll hear in a few minutes. There's the story in the Quran, in the book of Miriam, where the baby Jesus speaks to the people who come to see him. And there's a little-known story, which I am about to tell you, that's from the infancy Gospel of James, an early Christian writing discovered only recently. Joseph and Mary have come to Bethlehem and are temporarily homeless. They find shelter in a humble stable. At midday, it's clear that the baby is about to be born, so Joseph rushes out to seek a midwife. A midwife is someone wise and experienced who helps as a mother is giving birth. But Joseph doesn't bring the midwife in time. Instead, he's crossing a field just when Jesus is born. As the birth occurs, Joseph experiences a moment of frozen time. Everything stops. Field workers eating lunch stop moving as they reach for their food. Birds flying through the air stop with their wings outspread. Sensing that something momentous has occurred and believing it must be connected with the birth of Jesus, Joseph hurries back to the manger to find Mary with the newborn babe. In this version, there are no angels, but Joseph knows that his son's birth is astonishing, miraculous, and so, at the same time that he's parent to the Prince of Peace, hope of the world, he's also a very human parent stunned by his child's birth. In this season of awe and amazement, we celebrate the astonishing miracle of birth, the hope that parents have for their children, and the message of hope that Christmas brings to the world.
As the Reverend Jay mentioned, the story of Jesus' birth, with which we are most familiar, comes from the Gospel of Luke. It starts with a command from the Roman emperor that everyone in the land must register in their home city. For Joseph and Mary, this meant a long, long journey. These are the words from the Gospel of Luke. And it came to pass in those days that a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. So all went to be registered, everyone unto their own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed wife, who was with child. So it was that while they were there, the days were completed for her to be delivered, and she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Now there were in the same country shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were greatly afraid. Then the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring good tidings of great joy, which will be for all people. For there is born to you this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find a babe wrapped in swaddling cloths, lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward all." So it was, when the angels went away from them into heaven, that the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has come to pass, which the Lord has made known to us." And they came with great haste and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger. Now when they had seen him, they made widely known the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all who heard it marveled at those things which were told them by the shepherds. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had heard and seen, as it was told them. We join now in singing "Angels We Have Heard on High," verses 1 and 2, rising as we are comfortable.
Please join in the responsive reading for lighting the candle of hope. Christmas has come once more to earth to kindle in our hearts the light of hope.
Christmas is a festival of giving and sharing. It is a time of secrets and surprises, of gifts chosen with care and shared with joy. The child born in Bethlehem was such a gift to his parents, to those about him, and if we live the true meaning of Christmas, a gift to the world. The true gifts of Christmas are the miracles of faith, hope, and joy, and the love that makes it all possible. Christmas brings us songs and grace and beauty. Christmas challenges us to give the best of ourselves to our beloveds and to the world. In this season of generosity, knowing that others are hungry and homeless, aware of the many blessings that have come our way, let us now make an offering to support the Interfaith Nutrition Network and the many people who have food because of the gifts which we will make today. Also, if you have brought your guest at your table box with you this evening, you may come forward now and place it under our tree here on the chancel. Please give generously. Will the ushers please come forward? we have told stories of wonder and awe at the birth of a child. But wonder and awe and joy can continue throughout our lives. So, I'm going to tell you another story. This is the story of the dancer and actress Debbie Allen. She tells this story south of the border. This is about a moment of joy in her life. When I was young, my mother was famous for her spur-of-the-moment whims. I will never forget the year we spent hours and hours decorating our house in Houston, Texas. Then, just a few days before Christmas, Mom decided that we should have a Mexican Christmas Eve. My family had lived in Mexico for a year when I was very young, and though we loved it, it seemed odd to me to just pack up on the spot and go to Mexico for the holidays. Also, I'd hoped to spend Christmas in New York City, enjoying the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center and the store decorations along Fifth Avenue. But I was a dutiful daughter who went along with my mom's impulses. They'd always led to great adventure. Now, when we arrived in Mexico, every hotel was booked. My mother had not planned on that. By the time we reached the fourth hotel, 1, 2, 3, fourth hotel, we were pleading for a place to stay, looking hard for any room at all. And finally, we found a hotel that gave us a room, the most pitiful room, next to the boiler in the back of the inn. This room wasn't even big enough for both of us to stand up at the same time. But once we got settled, I made peace with my situation, and so what else could I do? I went to the beach. I went to the beach for sun and relaxation, hoping to get over being in the fourth inn in the back room by the boiler where I couldn't stand up. So by the time I finally accepted the fact that instead of enjoying snowflakes and Christmas carols, I'd be soaking up the sun and the sand, I was ready and I went to lie down on the beach for Christmas Day. That's when I got a funny little unexpected gift. As I sat on the sand, several children came running up to me with great excitement, waving and cheering. They said they knew that I was an American entertainer. They'd seen me on TV. They just couldn't figure out where they'd seen me or who I actually was. But they knew I was famous, and they were very excited. And still, suddenly, it didn't matter that they didn't know exactly who I was or exactly where they'd seen me. They had such wide-eyed excitement, such wonder. And in that moment, I was taken up in their feelings of excitement myself. So I struck a pose. And I danced, and I sang, and I acted on the beach in Mexico on Christmas Day just for them. And there was such admiration coming from those children that a star was born that minute. And it was brighter than 1,000 New York City Christmas lights. For all around, there was joy. Please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 245, Joy to the World.
Prepare
about to light the candle of joy and celebrate the joy of this season, let's share our joy with the wonderful singing of the choir and the young people's choir and the amazing music of the jazz ensemble and the decorations by Katie Shaw. Christmas is a festival of joy. It's a time of family feasting, of fun, of singing and visits, of Christmas trees and sleigh bells, of stockings and presents and Santa Claus, of fires in the fireplace and of a tiny child in a manger, of all the bright heritage that has come down to us as members of the human family. Each year, Christmas is born again in joy.
We will now light the candle of joy. In this wondrous season, bright with amazement, may our hearts discover the light of Christmas joy. Please repeat. In this wondrous season,
May we once again see with the eyes of a child. May we allow the bright fire of imagination and poetry, legend and song, warm and enlighten us, until the joy of Christmas fills our hearts and blesses our lives.
how perfect is that? We will now sing It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. Please rise in body or spirit.
I invite you to join with me in a time of prayer and meditation. To the faith, hope, and joy that calls us out of the wilderness and into the marvelous light of life and love. We turn for help in finding our way through the noise and turmoil of these days to the true meaning of Christmas, to its possibilities, to its peace. Let us open our hearts to this season and to the hope that rises to meet a troubled world. Open our hearts wide enough for gentleness in the midst of life that is sometimes bitter and harsh. Show us how close we are to what we seek and how often the things we want most are already ours, if we will only open our hearts and eyes to them. Teach us that we cannot hear the songs of life until our hearts learn to sing them, and that the most important gifts which we can give to one another cannot be wrapped and placed under a tree. Help us to be brave enough to hope and dream. Guide us in our search through doubt until we find faith that knows no place or season, until we discover the hope that sustains us, until we begin to live the joy that awaits in every child's smile, until we learn at last that even though the very stars may wander, there is love within us which never need lose its way. So may it be, and amen.
Of
In a moment, we'll bring light to one another as we sing Silent Night. After your candle is lit, please hold it upright as the person next to you lights theirs from it. And as the room brightens with the light we bring, consider the message of the candles.
During this time of long, dark nights, we have faith in the turning of the seasons and the strengthening warmth of the sun. May the growing light illuminate a clearer path for us in the days ahead. May we hold on to faith in the possibilities for all life on earth.
Behold, a candle is but a single flame. Yet where there is darkness, no light is small. Any light offers hope. Now more than ever, we realize that our hope is attached to everyone else's hope. That may be the most profound meaning of this season. Our hope is attached to everyone else's hope.
The flame of a candle is only a speck in the darkness, but in a moment, a flame will pass from one among you, and slowly this room will become bright with the light of this community. Every dark corner will be brightened. Okay? Every face will glow with the joy of Christmas.
When we share our light, our inner light, which like a flame can spread warmth among us, we help to brighten our world and spread the good news of faith, hope, and joy. In the true spirit of Christmas, may each person bring light to the world. May the ushers now come forward to light their candles from ours. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing Silent Night. when the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the brothers and sisters, to make music in the heart.